everybody, and welcome back to the Underdog Podcast. Today, we have the NFC South Draft grades for you. Again, this is one of the weaker divisions of football, but they mostly had pretty good drafts. Interesting dynamics in the offseason. Matt Ryan traded, Sean Payton retired. Matt Rule's in the hot seat, Tom Brady unretired, so a lot of interesting storylines heading into the draft with this division. So let's get right into it with the Atlanta Falcons. So I thought they, had a really interesting draft, and they, in my opinion, made the first surprise pick of night one in taking Drake London at the 8th overall pick. I was semi-critical of this pick. I have it as a B grade. I think Drake London's a phenomenal player, a little bit more of a boomer bust prospect than some of the other receivers. But I had him as my wide receiver 2, but I just didn't know the fit with Atlanta because Atlanta's a lot of 12 personnel with Arthur Smith's background as an offensive guy. So if they were going to play him on the outside, they needed to be put in a system where, it was a lot of back shoulder fades, it was a lot of comeback routes, it was a lot of curls, hitches, and that's not really Arthur Smith's offense. It's more of crossing routes, getting people open like that, and that's not really towards Drake London's skill set, as he's more of a, he's a good route runner. He's not really a blazing speed guy, and Mariota's not really the best at the comeback route, deep ball, jump ball type throws. But I do still like Drake London here. I think it's an interesting dynamic with Atlanta because it gives you a size profile that very few teams can match up with. Drake London's, I think, 6'4". Kyle Pitts is like 6'6". So there's very, very few teams that can match up with that size profile, which I think gives Atlanta an advantage. It also gives Mariota a big target that he can use. So it'll be very interesting to see how Drake London turns out in Atlanta. And then we have the Arnold Nebuchetti pick. I absolutely love this pick, the edge from Penn State, A+. Nebuchetti was my 6th edge, graded ahead of Travon Walker. This is a phenomenal pick. Really, really like this spot for Nebuchetti. I think, Atlanta struggled to really get any sort of pass rush at all over the last couple of years. So Nebuchetti gets in there, and he's a really good impact player right away. I think he's got a nice arsenal of moves, counter moves. I don't think he's as good against the run as some of these other guys, but he is a high energy player, so I think that will help him against the run. And I don't think he's ever going to be elite, but I think he's going to be a really solid number 2 at minimum. Probably could turn into a low end or mid tier number 1, honestly. But I really like Arnold Nebuchetti. This is a really good spot for him. Great value, too, at the top of the second round for the Atlanta Falcons. And then we have Troy Anderson, the linebacker from Montana State. I think this was a little early for him, but it makes sense to me. They lost Foyesade Oluokun, and they need somebody next to Deion Jones to be kind of that cover linebacker, and that's what Troy Anderson is. He's actually a really interesting prospect, played quarterback, running back, at Montana State before really becoming a full-time linebacker this season. So it's amazing kind of how he, became such a blossomed prospect. He's gonna be raw coming out because of the fact that he hasn't played the position a whole lot, but he's a phenomenal athlete. I mean, he literally comps athletically to Isaiah Simmons, and I don't care what anyone says, he's an upgrade over Foyesade Oluokun, athletically speaking at least. Probably is going to need a couple years to get up to the level that Oluokun was in coverage, but I think he's a better run defender than Oluokun day one, and he's a better athlete than Oluokun day one, and he's bigger too. I think he can take on more blockers. So really like that pick again. That was a solid pick for Atlanta. Then we have the Desmond Ritter pick, which I have as an A+. But I do want to say something first. I think Atlanta, it was somewhat wise for Atlanta not to take a quarterback in this draft class because I think very well you're going to be in the Bryce Young sweepstakes. And I think that they had a really good process going. They had Marcus Mariota. They had Josh Rosen there. If Mariota, ever were to get hurt and Rosen, steps in there and, does some nice things. And then they also had Felipe Franks, who was a really good athlete at quarterback. But I do think if they were going to take a quarterback, Ritter was the best guy for them to take because I think he fits in this scheme perfectly. And he comps to Marcus Mariota, very well, along with Dak Prescott, but he's not as accurate. I think Ritter's a really good athlete, especially straight line. I would have liked to have seen him use his legs more in college. I don't think he did enough, and that was kind of Mariota's fault at Tennessee, was he didn't use his legs enough. And then Ritter, he's got that weird kind of like wind up in his release where, he had a lot of balls batted down, especially like in the Alabama game. I think there was 4, and they just timed up his release and knocked it down. So, I'm really interested to see how Arthur Smith and the QB's coach there is going to work on his mechanics, because I definitely think that they're going to need some work. He does have the best pocket presence, pocket movement, and the best ability to read defenses in this class. He's a really smart guy at the quarterback position, so I think Arthur Smith's going to like that. I don't think he's going to play day one, even though I think he could. But I think Arthur Smith's going to give Mariota a chance to play here, and then maybe work in Desmond Ritter if Mariota's either A, struggling, or B, they're at the end of the season and they're out of the playoffs already anyways. But I do see Ritter having a chance to succeed here under the really good coaching of Arthur Smith. Then after that, they take Angelo Malone from Western Kentucky. Wasn't a fan. I thought he was more of like, late day 3 guy. It's just way too early for me. But I don't mind them getting an edge player in the room. I just thought it should have been somebody else. Malone's got some nice bend, but he doesn't really know how to play the position. And then they grab Ty Algier here in the 5th round, who I think could be their lead back next season in 2023, not 2022. Because Mike Davis, Corral Patterson, they're not really those type of guys. So I think Algier, year 1, could be a nice change of pace back. He's got some decent power. His vision is really, really good. I think that's probably the best part of his game. I just don't think he has great long speed or the ability to, cut back. He's not very shifty. And then they had Justin Shaffer, the guard from Georgia. I thought was a decent pickup, hometown guy, probably the only draftable guy on that Georgia offensive line with guard and tackle flexibility. They moved him in the guard this year, and he played his best. I think he profiled his best as a guard, but he did have tackle flexibility. So if Jalen Mayfield continues to struggle, maybe he can come in there and be better than him, out the gate. And then John Fitzpatrick, a blocking tight end out of Georgia as well. Another decent pick. I mean, you do need somebody that can block in this system, because Kyle Pitts can't. So I think this is a good pickup. I think it'll be tight end 3, maybe even 4, because I think they picked up Michael Pruitt. So I really actually like that for Atlanta, taking a guy in, the back end of the 6th round that can block for you at the tight end position, potentially special teamer as well. So that's a good pick. So the final grade for the Atlanta Falcons is a B. The D'Angelo Malone pick brings us down in the 3rd round, but I think it's lifted by their first 4 picks. I just am also questioning really the Drake London fit for them. So that's really why this grade's a B. I had it higher originally, but I think the Drake London fit's kind of a weird thing for me. So we'll see, how that ends up working out. I think it could, but, there are, I do have some reserves about that. And then we have the Carolina Panthers next up on this in this division. They had an absolutely phenomenal draft, starting it off by taking Kem Aquani with the 6th overall pick. I have this graded as an A. It was a really good pick. I mean, they had their choice of tackle, and they went with the Kem Aquani, which I think was a really good pick for them because he could play guard or tackle right away. And Brady Christensen, who I don't know if they meets their length thresholds of being a tackle, could slide into guard, and he could be an upgrade over anybody they have there at guard, or you keep Christensen at tackle and have Aquanu there. Either way, it's an upgrade. I think a Kem Aquanu is going to need a year to kind of get his pass protection up to speed, but he's going to be an immediate impact in the run game. Just absolute mauling dudes, clearing paths for Christian McCaffrey, so I'm sure McCaffrey's happy about this pick. And then they take my quarterback 1 at the end of the 3rd round, trading up with my New England Patriots. Matt Corral, this pick is an A+, I think a top 3 pick in the draft. And I had in my mock draft 2.0, I had Matt Corral going here 6th, and then I switched it, and I think I had Charles Cross or somebody, I can't remember. But this is an absolutely phenomenal pick here. I felt like Matt Corral was the best fit in this Carolina offense. It's more of this college spread style, gimmicky offense that Matt Rule likes to run. I think Corral is definitely going to need some time to develop. He could beat out Sam Darnold, but I don't see it. I think they go Sam Darnold because they did, trade picks for him, give an opportunity to start. Matt Corral's got a wicked arm. It's lasers all the way whenever he throws the football, so he's going to have to learn, when to throw with touch, when to throw high, low, stuff like that. I think his accuracy is good, not great, but I do think that his accuracy is, fairly good for this class. My favorite thing about Matt Corral is his ability to make plays when the play breaks down, similar to Kyler Murray. I think he has that type of upside. Of course, it's all about, situation, how they can coach him, whatever. But I really do like Matt Corral. I think he has a chance to succeed in this spot with, DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson and Terrace Marshall and Shi Smith, Tommy Tremble, Christian McCaffrey, Chuba Hubbard. I think it's a really good situation with a lot of weapons. And they committed to upgrading their offensive line this year as well, bringing in Kem Aquani, bringing in Austin Blythe over from the Rams and Bradley Bozeman over from the Ravens. So I think this is a really good spot for Matt Corral. Really excited to see him get on the field whenever that is. And then you take Brandon Smith, who's a super athletic linebacker out of Penn State. Reminds me a lot of Thomas Davis, can really do it all. I think he's going to need some work in coverage, but he's a very good blitzer. He's a very good athlete, and he's very instinctive against the run. I think sometimes he gets a little bit too aggressive, filling holes, but I think that's, you can live with that, I think. And obviously Carolina has been known for bringing out linebackers, Shaq Thompson, Thomas Davis, Luke Kuechly, John Beeson, just to name a few. And then you grab Amari Barno in the 6th round, another great value. I had him as a late 4th to a mid 5th round guy, so this is excellent value for him, B+ grade. Barno is your immediate Hassan Reddick replacement. Obviously, I don't think he's going to be as good as Hassan Reddick, but similar athletic profile. Could even play some off-ball linebacker too, like Hassan Reddick did at Arizona. But I think he's fast, just straight speed rusher, no power at all, and not going to be great against the run. But I think he can be a situational 3rd down pass rusher. And then once he gets some play strength, learns how to use some power and transfer that speed to power, I think he'll be a really good piece here and has a really good mentor in Brian Burns already there. And then Cade Mays, I thought this was, again, another phenomenal value pick. I had him, again, as a 4th to a 5th round guy. Mays can play tackle or guard, even center. He's played all over the place at Tennessee. Could even start. If not, he's a really high-end backup for you day one. Behind Blythe, Bozeman, and I'm assuming Christensen's going to bump into guard. He can fill in for any one of those guys and play immediately, so I really like this pick. Definitely going to have to work on some things, but I really like Cade Smith. And then they take Kalyn Barnes, the corner from Baylor. Love this pick. He ran 4.23 at the combine. 6th, 7th round, bet on speed at the cornerback position, and that's what they're doing. They have a bunch of other guys in there like Stanley Thomas Oliver, Cornelder at the bottom of the roster. So Kalyn Barnes is going to compete. I think he's going to make the team. He'll be a valuable asset on special teams as a gunner, as a kickoff guy. So, he'll be an impact guy day one on special teams, and then they'll develop him as a corner there. But if not, at least you're getting, at minimum, a potential elite special teamer there, which you can argue is a great thing to find in the 7th round. So I have this draft as our first A+ grade. I truly love this draft. I think taking Ike Ekwonu with the 6th pick was smart, and then waiting for your guy to fall and then going up and taking him and Matt Corral in the 3rd at the end of the 3rd round was great. And then you get athletes all over the board as well. Really love this draft for Carolina. They absolutely knocked this one out of the park, in my opinion. And then we have the New Orleans Saints here. I was a little bit underwhelmed with their draft for sure. They made some interesting picks. So it starts off with the 11th overall pick, them trading up to go get Chris Olave, and I expressed my, feelings about this pick after Thursday night, draft night. So listen, I really like Chris Olave as a prospect. I think he's the best impact day one receiver. He's going to take the top off the defense. He's a good route runner. He's got great hands. Was super productive at Ohio State. But I did not feel like New Orleans needed to come up and trade up for him. Honestly, I feel I just, that's my own personal feeling. I just really don't think that, you come up there to get him, especially with Jameson Williams on the board. I don't know, man. I have a hard time finding the reason why they traded up when they could have just sat at 16 and got him, because I think he would have been there. I guess Washington could have taken him, but they could have also taken Jahan Dotson at 11. You never know. And then, if Jameson Williams fell, I think Detroit was still going to trade up no matter what. Philly wasn't going to take him because they were getting A.J. Brown. Baltimore wasn't going to take him. And then Houston probably wasn't going to take him either. I mean, they took Kenyon Green, hometown guys, so you never know. But I just felt like they didn't need to come up and trade him. I felt like they could have got him at 16. And then Trevor Penning, here's a B. I mean, have him as first through second round grade. I did have both these guys going to New Orleans in the first round. I just think, Penning needs a lot of work. He's going to be their Teron Armstead replacement, but his pass protection needs a lot of work. I mean, footwork, hand placement, everything. He's going to be an immediate impact in the run game, similar to Kem Aquani, just absolutely mauling dudes, but he is going to need some serious work pass protecting. I trust the Saints to get that out of him, but currently it's just a B because, it's probably the guy they should have went with, and it's the guy I had them taking, but it is objectively early for him, so that's my opinion. And then Allante Taylor I thought was just a reach. In the second round I had him as more of a round 4 guy. Good player, but I just felt like it was too early for him. DeMarco Jackson I really like out of App State. I thought he was a late 4th round guy, so really good value here. Kind of similar mold to a Jonathan Vilma that they've had in the past. So really like that pick there. I think it gives them more athleticism at the linebacker position, special teams value there as well. But I think DeMarco Jackson could turn into a starter one day. And then Jordan Jackson out of Air Force. He was a super productive at Air Force, one of the most productive guys in college football last season. And because of their regiment, he had to stay like 290, 285. So once he gets off that regiment, I wonder if he puts on like 15, 20 pounds of muscle, he could really be a force, on the interior, similar to like a Chris Jones esque player where he's, really disrupting the passer, and is okay against the run. So I wonder if they're going to be able to get something out of him because I did really like Jordan Jackson's tape. So that was a very interesting pickup there for the New Orleans Saints. So my final grade for them is a B. I thought they had decent picks all across the board. Again, I'm knocking them for trading up for Olave. I thought they could have got him at 16. And then, the Trevor Penning pick, I felt like they had to make that pick, but it was objectively a little early. And then they reached for Allante Taylor and then finished out with 2 good picks on day 3. Then we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. Starting off with Logan Hall from Houston. I was not a Logan Hall fan. I had him as round 3-4 guy, so I'm going to knock this pick as a C-. Just thought it was too early for him, to be honest with you. Logan Hall is kind of a hybrid interior edge guy. I think he's, William Golston's a really good comparison for him, who's actually on the Bucs right now. So I think he can come in there, be a rotational, early down, run defender. He's got literally like no clue what he's doing as a pass rusher. I mean, he's like all bull rush and that's it. So Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh are gonna have to teach him some pass rush moves because he doesn't know anything except a bull rush. And then they took Luke Goedeke here. The guard tackle from Central Michigan. I think he's going to come in there and he's going to play guard for him right away. Play tackle at Central Michigan, but he's a really good player. Solid in pass protection. Decent in the run, and he's going to come in there and be a really high floor player for you. If an injury happens to Tristan Wirfs or Donovan Smith, he can kick out to tackle and be a really solid guy there as well. But upgrading the offensive line after they lost Alex Kappa and Ali Marpet, who retired. They bring in Luke Goedeke, so really, really good replacement there. Then the Rachaad White pick. I've seen a lot of people kind of criticize this pick. Like, why did they take a running back? They just re-signed Leonard Fournette. You have Giovanni Bernard. You have Keyshawn Vaughn. I think Rachaad White is more of their Ronald Jones replacement, kind of as that change of pace back. You can also catch the football, which Ronald Jones could not. So I think he's your long-term, Ronald Jones replacement / Giovanni Bernard because he can catch the ball. Although you do have Keyshawn Vaughn there who really kind of broke through at the end of last season after really being in the doghouse after his rookie season, not really playing well at all. So Keyshawn Vaughn kind of came in there and played pretty well at the end of the season there, the regular season there for Tampa Bay. So I think Rachaad White can be, an immediate impact guy, get like 8 to 12 carries a game, be a nice change of pace back for Tampa Bay and be a, decent contributor to their offense. And then they have Cade Otten here in the 4th round. I was definitely lower on him. I had him as more of a 4th to a 5th round guy, but objectively, Cade Otten is a really good pick for them. He's compared to Cameron Brate a lot, and all he's got to do is really beat out Cameron Brate to, contribute here, and I think he can do that. He's got some really nice upside. I think he's more, I think he's a good route runner, which Cam Brate is. I think he's definitely discredited for that, Cam Brate. He's more fluid than Cam Brate. He's okay as a blocker. I mean, he's at least willing to get his hands dirty, but he's not the best blocker. And also he's going to be a nice red zone threat for you as well. I grade it as a B+. I think it was early, but I do like the fit for Tampa Bay here, so I kind of bumped that grade up for them. And then they take a punter in the 4th round. What is it with people taking specialists in the 4th round, man? Like, I don't know. If you're Tampa Bay, take another receiver, take another offensive lineman, take somebody. I mean, take Zion McCollum there in the 4th round over a freaking punter. I mean, geez, man. Great as a D. And you already got a really good punter in Bradley Pinion. So, I don't know. At least if you're going to take a punter, take the GOAT, Matt Ariaza. I mean, geez, man. But, yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. Then you have Zion McCollum, the corner from Sam Houston State. This is the best pick in the draft. I mean, no doubt about it. Zion McCollum had a 2nd-round grade for me, was my 6th corner. He had no business falling out of the 2nd round, let alone any business falling to day 3 and the 5th round. Like, this is just absurd. I mean, this dude, I'm not kidding when I say this, is the best athlete coming out of college ever at the cornerback position. His RAS score was 1 of 1 coming out. I mean, he is that freaking athletic. He's that athletic coming out, and he's going to be an absolute freaking baller for this team. He's going to be their dime corner to start with because you have Murphy Bunting, you have Carlton Davis, who just re-signed to a big contract, and then Jamel Dean in the slot. But then you have Zion McCollum as your 4th guy. I mean, their weakness was, the secondary last year. They had a lot of injuries. Murphy Bunting went down, Carlton Davis went down, and they really only had Ross Cockrell, who's a decent veteran guy there, and that was about it. So Zion McCollum fixes that issue. He can play outside, he can play inside. Dude has great technique, great ball skills. I think he's a little bit stiff, but you can get around that. I mean, Zion McCollum is just absolutely a perfect draft pick here for this team. I mean, phenomenal pick right here. This is the best pick in the draft, in my opinion, by far. Then they take Keeft, who's more of a blocking tight end out of Minnesota. I think he only had like 10 catches this season, but Tampa does like to run the ball, power run style, so I think that is a good pick. Losing Gronk, who's one of the best blocking tight ends in the game, so that is, you're going to make up for the loss there with Keeft. And then Andre Anthony out of LSU. I don't know much about this guy, but, will compete for a roster spot, will compete for, special teams reps, so not bad to get a guy that's, pretty athletic, there at the end of the 7th round, pretty much a Mr. Irrelevant draft. So overall, I gave this a B. I'm just not really a big fan of the Logan Hall pick, and they didn't really blow me away until that Zion McCollum pick, which I am kind of giving them a lot of credit for stealing him there in the 5th round. I thought he just had absolutely zero business to be there. So that pick, the Cade Otten pick, the White and Goddard pick, I like those a lot. So I'm going with a B. Logan Hall was really early for him. I mean, I get it because Sue's getting older. You need Golson's getting older. You need kind of another guy in there. I just thought they could have waited. Maybe if they went Zion McCollum with this pick and then stole Logan Hall in the 5th round, then it would be, truly like a B+, A-. But we'll go with a B here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I still thought had a pretty good draft. So that is it for my NFC South draft grades video. I hope you all enjoyed and are sticking tuned with this series. We got NFC West tomorrow, and then we're starting with the AFC on Friday. Starting with the AFC East. You guys will want to watch that video because I will be telling you about the Patriots draft class and what I think about that, and that is always a treat to listen to me talk about the Patriots. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of the Underdog Podcast. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And as always, have a great day and peace.